Well, shooters and reloaders out there, Fortune Cookie 45 LC coming to you from the hot lead zone with another coffee chat. Now, this coffee has a nice smell to it. The aroma of coffee is just great. So we just take a little sip of this right now. Good. Well, the topic of our coffee chat tonight is fouling. Now, you know, fouling is something that's the reason why we have to clean our guns. And fouling used to be really bad with black powder because you had so much soot in there that the black powder fouling would actually stop the gun from working. When smokeless powder came along, it was supposedly the big advancement over black powder because, number one, the fouling wasn't as big a deal. The smokeless powder was not really smokeless, but what it really meant was the fouling was much less. But also smokeless powder became much more performance than black powder because you could get progressive burn, whereas black powder is basically a detonation that occurs. So you have to control the pressure of the detonation, whereas with the progressive burn, as the powder burned, the bullet moved down the barrel, increasing the space for burn, so the pressure didn't peak until the bullet was going down the barrel, and that drove the bullet to faster velocities. Now, you can't talk about fouling without talking about two factors. One is powder fouling or powder residue. The other is leading. Those are the two things that are associated with fouling. Now, leading is a problem if it leads up the rifling. If you get leading in the chamber, as long as it's not where the cartridge case is and it won't be there, the leading there doesn't really affect the accuracy of the gun as long as the rifling is good. Once the rifling is negatively impacted by leading, you lose accuracy. And it begins with wild shots. Then you start getting minor keyholes, then full keyholes, like bullets sideways going in backwards, this kind of thing. And the accuracy goes right out the window. But it starts with wild flyers, then you get bullets hitting anywhere. And then you get, as more leading occurs, you get a dangerous situation because the barrel can be actually obstructed and pressures can rise, so it becomes dangerous. That's leading. Now, powder fouling, when we get right down to it, we need to understand and talk about gunpowder when you talk about powder fouling. So there was a time when nitrocellulose, and that's what gunpowder is. You take cellulose, can be anything like cotton, this kind of thing. You treat it with nitric acid to produce nitrocellulose. Now, nitrocellulose was actually used in commercial products like combs and plastics. So when I was a kid, we used to be able to buy these combs made out of nitrocellulose, and they looked just like clear plastic combs or anything. Pens, this kind of thing, was made out of nitrocellulose. And it was basically clear or kind of lightly tinted plastic. That's what it looked like. And it felt like plastic. And you comb your hair just like plastic. But we kids realized, and I don't know how it came about, but there was a flame danger with nitrocellulose because the combs were combustible. And we kids learned that if we took a nitrocellulose comb and put it down on the ground and then focused a magnifying glass on the sun on that plastic, it would just burst into flame and it would just burn. And it would release some smoke, but not a lot, but it would just burn. It was a fierce burn. And that's what nitrocellulose does. It's gunpowder. And I wish I had some of those nitrocellulose combs left over, but they were outlawed because of the flame danger, the fire danger associated with them. Oh, you've heard of some gunpowders that are quote unquote dirty? Dirty means they make more fouling. They leave more powder residue all over the gun, in the barrel, all over the gun, all over the shooter's hands. So with gunpowder, you had to have the right burn characteristics to best put it to use. And the way they did it was because nitrocellulose likes to burn. And they controlled the burn rate by adjusting the size of the granules and also the amount of surface area, the shape of the granules. To get more surface area would get faster burn. Less surface area, more compact, more condensed granules, you get a slower burn. But they also had to add retardants, chemicals that slow down the burn. They used detergents to keep the granules from sticking together. They put in stabilizers because you had to stabilize and not have the powder burn too quickly or be unstable. Now it's these stabilizers and retardants and detergents and coatings, that's what promotes a lot of fouling. Now with our guns, the amount of fouling causes us to be interested in the cleaning procedures, and that's why there's always interest in the solvents that we're using to clean our guns, this kind of thing. We want to get rid of that fouling. But practically speaking, what fouling does is whenever we use cases that are shorter than the chambers, then you'll often hear that the fouling will cause fouling of the area in front of the shorter case, and that's detrimental. Well, you'll hear the term, you'll get a ring of fouling, and it's something you really don't want. Well, it turns out that the cowboy action shooters often shoot .38 Special and .357 Magnum chambers, and that's in their lever guns and their revolvers, and it turns out that they don't give it a second thought. It doesn't affect their performance, even though they shoot a lot of rounds, and sure, they get that fouling in there. They just clean it out. And I've shown on my videos that if you have that kind of problem, very easy and actual joyful way to clean that out is to chuck a rod in an electric drill and run a brass brush with solvent in there with electric drill. The thing just runs like crazy in there, and it just cleans it out like there's just no tomorrow. So it's actually easy. You just run in all the chambers, and when you're done, the chambers look new. There's no ring that's left in there. When it comes to using shorter cases in chambers that are for longer cartridges, you often hear the controversy about bullet jump pop up. Seems that controversy never goes away. There's two schools of thought that shooters have based on their experience, and that is that if you try and shoot a shorter case in a longer chamber and they're not getting good accuracy, then automatically it's because of the bullet jump that caused the bad accuracy. And then you have other shooters who have seen no problems with that, and they'll say there's no problem with bullet jump. So those two schools of thought. Whatever school you subscribe to, you have your reasons for subscribing to that, so there's no reason for us to doubt your reasons. It's all okay. Basically, if you have a shorter cartridge in there and you get a little bit of fouling, that fouling is not enough to be added to the bullet jump controversy to stop us from going ahead and shooting shorter rounds in there. You often hear the use of .38 Specials and .357 Magnum revolvers as being a good thing. It's good to be able to shoot lower power ammo, that lower cost, more economical ammo also in our guns. At any rate, it's very easy to clean. It's not a problem, so that's not a reason not to shoot shorter rounds. And so therefore, yes, you do get the fouling, but the fouling is easily controlled. And if you have proper obturation, you won't have much leading to speak of in the forcing cone and in the barrel, and any fouling that gets in the barrel, that keeps on being blown through anyway, so you don't get it built up in the barrel that much. My, that was good coffee, and I enjoyed that coffee chat. Basically, when it comes to fouling in our guns, we really don't mind to get a little bit of fouling on the hands. We don't go to our mouth, but what happens is we just wash our hands, clean the gun up, and it's all part of shooting. Bye for now.